Okay. So just listening to the game drive radio, lots of chatter. Okay. Come on, lions, go left or right, don't go straight. Oh, the tracks disappeared. Which way did you go now, lions? Now, you got anything your side, Andre? Just buffalo, lots of buffalo tracks everywhere. Go back down the road a little bit to see exactly which direction those lions went in. Check carefully there. HKP is wondering, can we recognize a pride by their tracks? Not necessarily. The reason I know this is the Nkahuma pride is because they've literally walked from the Djuma down camp. We're heading in this general direction. I've got a lion track here. A pride by their tracks. Not necessarily. The reason I know this is the Nkahuma pride is because they've literally walked from the Djuma down camp. We're heading in this general direction. I've got a lion track here. Crossing east, just to the north of Pipeline Junction. Okay. So now there's always a possibility that the lions might change their mind, so that's why we're checking carefully. There's just so much buffalo activity in this area that I'm pretty sure that these lions might have been chasing them. I mean, it's just pandemonium on the tracks around here. Morning, Jamal. Jamal would like to know how many lion prides are there in the Djuma area. Well, Jamal, our main pride is the Nkahuma pride, then there's the Styx pride. At the moment, there's been quite a lot of movement of prides, so we also get the Tsalala pride and the Mangeno pride, so it's 4. Plus the Birmingham Male Coalition and the Salati Male Coalition. Now, the difficult thing is here, there's just buffalo running, and so very difficult to see any tracks. So I'm just going to listen for a second. Who knows, we might hear the growling of lions on a buffalo kill. Something in the bush here. It sounds like elephants in the distance. Miranda is wondering, how do the lion prides get their names? Well, man, it's generally from areas where they spend a lot of time. Well, the Nkahuma pride was first seen under a large brown ivory tree. And Nkahuma is the Shangaan for brown ivory. That's how they got their pride. Tsalala pride is also named after a tree. It's the low-felt gardenia, but more because they spent a lot of time around a place called Tsalala Pan, which is on Londolozi. And then the Mungen pride is because they spent a lot of time around an area called the Mungen drainage line, or Mungen little river system on Londolozi as well. The Styx pride is a very old pride, and I'm not sure exactly how Styx got their name. Remember, it is something to do with the river Styx. I think they were a very big pride when I first got to know them, and I think they sent a lot of passengers down the river Styx to Hades. So Safari Dean's wondering, is it because a lot of the cats, or big cats having cubs at the moment, they don't mark as much territory, so newcomers sort of sneak in? I don't. I think the reason the lion behavior is so topsy-turvy is because of the male-lion coalition shift. So I know the Matimbas were up here recently. They were being chased by the Majingalans, and the Birminghams run back and chase them the other way. So I think these female prides are trying to sort of hide from this male-lion battle that has been going on to the west of us, and that's why they've popped up into this area. Yeah, well, it looks like the lions have headed into Torchwood, so we're going to turn around, see what else we can find. While we do that, let's go see what Sam's up to. Here we are at Buffelshoek, and we are just looking over the other side of the watering hole, and we can see some crescent franklins that are just great, well, just eating some seed pods, particularly maybe they're eating something off the ground. They can't see. We're actually very, very far away. I'm just looking through my monitor to see what might be going on. But we have some other special guests here this morning in the watering hole. Can you see the big lump? And there is a hippo. So the hippo most likely would have been grazing out on the land for the last couple of hours and has now come towards the watering hole to lie up here for the rest of the day. Here we go. We just got some water out of the nose from the hippo. We've been really, really privileged to see hippos out of the water recently. It's been very, very cool to see that. They look so different, and they're such large animals. You can quite clearly see quite a bit of mud on the hippo's back there. Here's his ears. You just saw the ears moving. His eyes that are just above there. So that's our friendly hippo that we come and have a look at down by the watering hole. And I just thought, while we're here at the watering hole, let's also just kind of see what's going on. If we pull back and we have a look at just the water's edge here, we've got quite a lot of tracks of elephant as well as lots and lots of dung. So there's probably been a big, big breeding herd that's come here recently. You see that dung there? That's the elephant dung just by the water's edge. So potentially we might be able to find some elephants this morning. And to our right, fascinatingly, there's actually a bird here, which is called the yellow-billed hornbill. I'm sure you've all got that to your list now, but it was eating dung, which was fascinating. It was eating the elephant's dung. So look, this yellow-billed hornbill potentially will jump. And we were just chatting about, I think it was, I've just forgotten the name of the person that just went and looked up about monocular vision and birds. Really, really
interesting why they bob there. Andrea. Thank you, Andrea. I really appreciate when viewers go out and out of their way to look up something that I didn't quite know as a guide, and it just makes that experience so much more richer because we're learning together. So they have monocular vision, and so when they jump on their two little feet there, up and down, and they bob their heads, is because it helps them stabilize their vision when they bob their head up and down, which is very interesting. So we've got binocular vision, and little birdies have monocular vision. But we've got some more birds up here. We've got some buffalo weavers up in the tree here. This is a balanites tree. You can see the nests here. It's incredible. You can't see them right now. Those nests are quite large, as you can see, but you just saw a bird flying in and out of screen there. There's two of them. They're flying around the tree. That is our red-billed buffalo weaver, and that was actually the bird that we had at camp for a couple of days that then passed away. Buffy, red-billed buffalo weaver. We tried to raise it, but it was too damaged. You can also hear the sound of another bird, which sounds like the orange-breasted bushshrike. So hopefully we can see that in a few minutes. So this is a beautiful tree, the balanites, as you're looking here, and fascinating little bit of information. There's another bird. Cheapest Dave really wants that bird list to get up there. That's a Burchell's starling that's on a buffalo thorn there. So I'm sure you've got that one already. You could potentially go looking for the Cape glossy starling. I don't know how this is helping Aaron out there. I'm sure you've got some of these already. But there's another bird that's just down here that's popping itself around the dung. What is it? It looks like a pied wagtail. Isn't that awesome? It's incredible. When you just stop and look around, you can find so much. I've seen 5 or 6 birds already. Incredible. So that's the pied wagtail. I'm very used to the Cape wagtail in Cape Town. Chris would like to know if there are any crocodiles in this water. Chris? There are no crocodiles in this water. We would see the crocodiles, and I've never actually seen a crocodile in this area. All that I've seen here is a hippo. I haven't even seen a young hippo. I know that they saw a young hippo on Arathusa the other day, which must have been very, very fascinating and cool to watch the young hippo. So there he is. But you can hear that. You can hear that. Listen to the sound of that bird call. It's just gone silent. That's me making that call, by the way. That's not the bird. So I don't mind making bird calls when it comes to trying to make a line roll. It's not the easiest thing for me to do. So when you listen, I'm just going to do it one more time. Sounds like the orange-breasted bushshrike. Let's see if we can find it. I'm just going to go slowly. It's not easy to find some of these birds. It's birds like the gorgeous bushshrike, the orange-breasted bushshrike. All the different shrikes are hard to find because they like to find. Wow! I saw it. Just watched the bird. Look, it's in the water there. Oh, that was so cool. So go above there, you'll see. Just above there, he goes against the water, skimming the water there. Awesome. That looks like a buffalo weaver. Let's watch that again. So it looks like it's hawking, and it looks, from this distance, it looks like a fork-tailed drongo. I can't quite see from here. But it goes down and stands on a position there, and starts hawking. So it'll drop down and fly into the water, collect some insects, go back to its position in the tree. So there's a few of them there. I can't quite see. So maybe they're starting. Let me get my binoculars out. so awesome to watch them do this. Yeah, it's the drongo, fork-tailed drongo. Watch it just skim the water there, collecting some of the insects. Great filming from Dave. There he goes. Awesome. Oh, wow. Very cool to see that. Let's watch one more. I'll watch you dive from the top there. So I'll say again, it's called hawking that they do here. Hold on 1 second, yeah. You can quite clearly see the fork. There it goes. Oof. Did he get something to eat, did it? It's actually so cool to watch this. And they're also cleaning themselves, or they're going down, collecting an insect and then trying to get the water off them. So that could also be a way in which they clean themselves. Very cool. Jen B is asking, could they be bathing? They could very well be cleaning and preening themselves there and not actually collecting insects, but to me it looks like they're actually, whoa, I don't know, can't get close enough. Let me actually see if I can see any insects with my binoculars lurking on the top of that water. I cannot actually see any insects there. So it could be very well that they're just going down, dipping themselves into the water, and then cleaning themselves as they come up onto the branch. So that was spectacular bird behavior. So it's been a very birdie morning so far. Let's see what else we can find. Let's get you to 40. I think, was that for Aaron to get you to 40? Let's see if we can do that for you. 3, chin spot baddest. I just heard that one. Goes. So I heard that one. Let's see maybe if we can find the chin spotted batis. So from tracking lines, as we just heard, the lines went from, I think Brent would have updated you. We were tracking the lines all the way up here. I was up one road following those tracks, and we found that they had crossed north. So not northeast, so they're out of here. Brent's got a large animal. Let's go and have a look. There we go. Another Eddie bull, a little bit older than the one we had first thing this morning. I can hear other elephants in the bush to the east of us. And he's probably heading towards there. Amazing how quiet such a big animal can be. See how he's sniffing, looking for the scent of the other elephants. So he's tracking them by smell. Sniffy, sniffy, sniffy. Standing by. No, well, on pipeline, it's sorry, not on pipeline, on Hippo Pools itself, about 10 meters from the junction with Cheetah Cut Line, and then they're headed sort of slightly east, sort of northeast into the block, and then I lost the tracks where all the buffalo were running.
So Deborah's wondering if I've ever seen an elephant so mad it was whipping its tail. Now, when an elephant's mad or upset, Deborah, they don't whip their tail, they actually just sort of straighten it so it becomes sort of stiff and erect. So he's heard those elephants I could hear off to the east of us. Oh, we can hear them in the distance. So HKP is wondering how old this Ellie is. I'd say he's probably mid-20s, mid to late 20s. And he's off to find the rest of the herd that are in Torchwood that we can hear. So just a quick update. No updates from Cheetah Plains this morning. They've checked for the cheetah, no such luck. So we're not going to meander down there. I think I'm going to go have a good look around the western sectors now after checking the Mawati. There's of course always the chance that Kruder's managed to sneak across because of all those buffalo tracks up and down and around. Her tracks might have been hidden. So we'll go have a quick squiz around Treehouse, Waterhole and that general area. Suddenly got colder and quite a big cloud bank has rolled in. Lindsay Lou would like to know what it is like living in the bush and working in the bush. Are there upsides or there downsides? Well, Lindsay, I've pretty much lived and worked in the bush my whole life. I've lived in the... Well, but even before the bush, we lived on a family game farm, so no real city time for me apart from a brief period in Johannesburg. But there are, of course, upsides and downsides. I personally wouldn't want to live anywhere else but the bush. But I would say one of the downsides, and I think Genre might agree with me on this one, is that sometimes it's a bit difficult to get really good seafood out here. And it's always quite nice to have some sushi and some prawns and things like that. So, but we do that when we're on leave. Genre doesn't agree. Genre doesn't like seafood. No, he doesn't like seafood. Genre doesn't like anything, guys. He's very fussy. So, of course, upsides, downsides, but I would say the upsides definitely heavily outweigh the downsides. We also live in a sort of a very small community. Well, Nick's wondering what was my scariest moment. Well, Nick, it probably happened about 2 years ago, and it was in the Central African rainforests. And I got tossed by an elephant and dislocated my hip. That's probably been the scariest moment for me. Apart from, also I would say actually having to drive, also in Central Africa, driving a very small boat over very big waves in a very big storm out at sea. That was quite scary. Amazing how the weather just changed so quickly. Must be a cold front on the way in. So John's asked us to look out for an warthog track. I shall certainly do that. I'm trying to remember, we did see one earlier this morning. Ah, yes, I remember. We'll try and get there. Unfortunately, it was on Gowrie Main, so it could have been driven over, but we will go have a look. Sandy's wondering how far is it from camp to a town where we get supplies. Our closest town where we get most of our supplies is Hoedspruit. There are some smaller villages and whatnot a bit closer, but as the crow flies, it's probably about 70 kilometers, but driving just over 80, 90, and probably takes just over an hour, depending on the state of the road. Probably closer to an hour and a half at the moment, as the roads have become quite bad. So here Sam is on a birding challenge this morning, so let's go see what little feathered friend he has.
So we have just seen quite a number of birds that are flying around. There are so many birds actually in this area. Once again, we've got some drongos that are flying around. We've had some small little waxbills, blue waxbills, some firefinches, and we're trying to lock on them. So like trying to get a good picture of them without them flying out of screen. It's really, they're not helping us at all by flying away all the time. It's really hard to stay on one of them. There's one there though. What bird is that? I can't quite see what that is through there. I think that could have been that chin spot baddest. I saw it again. So let's just continue, because otherwise we'll go crazy trying to get all these birds. There are quite a number of them. There doesn't seem like... Ooh, can you hear that? Okay, so we are close to some elephants. The sound of a hornbill. There is an elephant somewhere here. Can you hear that, Dave?
Yeah.
That was a very loud break of a branch. Just looking in every direction to see where this elephant might be. Because he's definitely not a small elephant from the sound, the crack of a branch that I've just heard. Where might you be? It's not like you are a small animal, so we should see you soon. Just going to switch off again. Okay, so let's just pay attention to this elephant at the moment, because I'm not sure where he is, and I can definitely hear the sound of an elephant very, very close by. Very, very thick bush here, so I just want to pay attention at the moment. I just received a message from James Richard. Rebecca, could you go on that again for me, just as I was looking for an elephant there? Interesting question from James. Is similar to some other animals that can track down scent. You know, if they've lost someone, I think that was if they lost one of the younger individuals from the herd, would they be able to track down that young baby elephant? Yes, you know, they would be able to smell. They've also got a way of communicating. So we're just going to go up here to see if the elephants are here. That is also at a hertz level that's much lower than ours. So we hear sounds at 25 hertz. Elephants can hear sounds at 5 hertz, which of course, if they needed to make a contact call, they could make a call like that if they had lost a young within the group. But I think the general question was asking if they could actually follow up on scent, and I'm sure they can follow up on scent. I know that a male will do that for a female. When they're looking for a female in estrus, they're actually able to smell sometimes the scent of a female that's in estrus. Oh, it sounded like that elephant was on top of our car. How loud it was. I know that Mr. Ellie's on top of our car, but he's not quite the sounding of an elephant that I heard just now. Potentially he's up in the bush somewhere close by. So where we are at the moment is we're just coming up towards Cheetah Cut Line, and that's where Brent was not just a few minutes ago, finding that those tracks had headed in that direction out of here. Wow, no idea where that elephant has gone now. Must be deep in the thick bush there, just cracking and breaking on branches over there. Lindsay Lou would like to know, what is my opinion around working in the bush? What are the ups and the downs of it? Well, it's a good question, Lindsay. Like, I've only been here 6 weeks, as I've started my job 6 weeks ago, and you know, the upside of this is that for me, there's elephant tracks everywhere here. So if I don't see an elephant soon, I'm going to be surprised. You know, for me, the biggest thing that I love about being in the bush is the fact that I get to be immersed within an ecological system of this nature, you know, in terms of the richness of the predator to the herbivore that lives in the African bush. I just find it so really, really good for my mind and my health, just because I'm fascinated by the way in which animal behavior works, the way in which ecosystems are, and how they benefit us. And also just living out here and learning and not being a part of the city, which for me is I don't do as well in the city as I do here. I think the downside for me is not having my family around. You know, I think that's a hugely important thing, is the relationships that you hold in life, and you know, to be away from my parents and my brother, or mainly my twin brother and my sister, for 6 weeks at a time is difficult, just because he's going through the same sort of motions in life. He's been 25 years old, trying to start a business in Cape Town, and you know, all I can really do is chat to him over Skype and messages, as well as my sister, who's a lawyer. She's an environmental lawyer. So that's the downside, is that I don't get to be close to the relationships that I really cherish and like to look after. Then again, you know, I'm following and I'm pursuing my, my self-value, if you will, in terms of learning what I love about this world, learning more about the natural ecology. And I'm going home in just a couple of weeks, so I'll get to spend 2 weeks with my brother and my sister and go surfing and swimming and do all those great things. So that's probably the answer to my ups and my downs. You know, the ups are way, way more than the downs, and I try and stick in that pool of positivity. Really, really nice group of people that we live with in camp. It makes life so much easier. You know, the people that you associate yourself with make a big difference, and the people in camp are just great people. I really like spending time with them. And then, of course, if I wanted to get away from the camp, because it's also a very small community of people, I've got this whole community of other beings, such as elephants and lions, leopards, plants, all sorts of things out here that are part of this biotic community of life on Earth. So there's more individuals than the humans, and I truly believe that I'm building a relationship with all the different components of this natural world, even the stars. To sit outside and watch stars at night time make me a very, very happy person. So that would be my answer to those questions. Myself and Dave actually love to go out at night time and check what stars we can see. We often say who can see the first satellite. So we just sit looking up at the stars, trying to find the satellite in the stars. And every single time we've played that competition, we've sat there for about 10, 15 minutes. And we both haven't seen a satellite. And normally we always see satellites. It's strange. You can see that those Nkuhumas have crossed. Got a vehicle. Okay, I'm just going to move off here. Let's cross to Brent. In the meanwhile, we'll see you just now. Cheers for now.
So we're back down in the south. No luck on the eastern boundary. So we're just slowly making our way towards the treehouse waterhole. See if there's any action around there. I haven't been to treehouse yet, so I'm quite excited to see how much water's in there. There's that. There's an elephant dragging his toe, making me think there might be a drag mark. Oh, hello, mister. Nice big Nyala bull. And there's orange socks. Oh, look at the tears in his ear. You can see that's another sign of age, but you can see he's old just from the size of his horns and how worn they are and how the ivory tips are starting to show. Try. There we go. There's the orange socks. I'm going to move forward. Let's go. Now, he's eating a tree we don't normally see the browsers eat, but we are in a very dry period, so that's why. And he's eating a monkey orange, a strychnos. Now, there's quite a few different strychnos species. I mean, here the most common is the one that he's eating there, the black monkey orange. But the Indian counterpart to the monkey oranges of Africa is got a very high strychnine poison. And the Thuggee, which were a band of, basically a caste of thugs, for lack of a better word, in India, used to actually use the fruit of that tree to extract the strychnine poison and commit assassinations. We are going to definitely see quite a few animals eating stuff we might not normally see them eating, especially not this early in the dry season. And it's going to be fascinating to watch the trophic levels and how the different animals feed off them. And we will definitely keep a close look on it. And you will see how different animals feed at different heights. And there's sort of bands of where they've been fed, where the plants have been fed on. We just heard something, so we were just listening. Jana and I heard something behind us. We're just trying to figure out what it is. Pretty sure it was some eddies screaming, but quite far away. Anyway, well, let's continue on. So Brian's wondering what animal gets most affected by the cold. Well, in my experience, Brian, it's actually probably zebra, strangely enough. So specifically now that we're in quite a going into a very serious dry time, and if any of those zebras are not quite at optimum health or a bit old, the first really cold snap of the year, when it drops below 10 degrees, which I don't think it's Celsius, which I don't think it's done yet, often causes quite a few zebras to die. They just don't wake up from their evening snooze. Look here in the tracks. Fortunately not. I'm trying to keep a good lookout for an example. Oh, there. Glossy starling. Lovely, lovely orange eye. Looking for some ground insects. There we go. Breaking open some elephant dung that termites have started feeding on, so going after the little worker termites in the dung. Such beautiful birds. Now, that iridescence is quite important in starlings, so the brighter and shinier you are, the more likely the girls are to find you good looking. Also, when the starlings aren't too bright and shiny, it's a sign that they're in poor health. Obviously, this guy is not in poor health. Oh, what's he got there? Something a bit bigger. Looks like he's actually just breaking up some porcupine dung. Oh, there's some ants there. That's what he's after. No, he doesn't seem to be after the ants. After something else in the porcupine dung. Such a beautiful bird. So now, looking at this guy, who's going to be able to tell me which glossy starling it is? Is it? Let's have another last look as he comes out into the open here. Is it the Cape glossy starling, or is it the greater blue-eared glossy starling? So let's see which birders are on form this morning. If you know the answer, you've only got two, so you got a 50% chance of getting it right. Send through your answers to questions at wildearth.tv or use the hashtag SafariLIVE on Twitter. While we continue on towards the treehouse waterhole, let's go see what Sam's up to.
Welcome back, everyone. As you can see, I'm outside my vehicle, and I made an explanation a little bit earlier about mulling and how elephants like to mull and put things into their mouth like this. and then they chew it around and take off all the bark and the leaves and the branches. So you can actually see over here where the elephant has actually ripped it from there and eaten it all the way down here. And this is a ziziphus tree, or a buffalo thorn rather. If you have a look at the thorns, you can quite clearly see there's a hook thorn there and a thorn that points out. So this is a mechanical defense from a tree to protect itself from different herbivores. But interestingly, why I'm actually here is I came across a log on the ground as I went off the vehicle, and just have a look at this nest that looks like has been made in there. Really, really, really interesting. I'm just going to open it up slowly. So this is an old piece of bark, piece of wood. I'm just going to open it slowly to maybe reveal what we might have. So I just flicked that into my face. Have a look at that. That's so interesting. I wonder what kind of animal did this. It must have been a spider, of course, but which insect was it? So it's amazing. So termites would have probably eaten away at this log, and there's quite a little soil in here, so they would have closed it up where they can, the termites, and then because as you can see, they've left this dwelling behind, that it created so much room for other insects to nest in here. And as you can see, the nest actually goes right in here. It's fascinating to see. Whoa. Just going to break it open a bit more. So, whoa, oh my sweetness. That just gave me a nice fright. I just got a fright there. I'm just going to show you slowly what I just came across. As I was opening, it seems that there's a dead spider in here. Just in case it's not dead yet, I'm just going to make sure. Here it is. It's dead. Jeepers, this is unreal. So I wonder how it died, or it could be the exoskeleton, but you can see the spider that used to live in here. So I keep moving it around. There we go, Dave. Okay. Isn't that fascinating? So we just opened up this piece of wood. We found some signs of something that was here, and then we came across this spider. Not sure what spider it was. It gave me a huge fright when I saw it. I'm just going to turn it like this, because you can quite, Dave, if you would be so kind as to go as close as you can to the teeth of that spider. So the front there, quite clearly see the teeth of that spider. How awesome is that, guys? So as much as they are large animals, it's just as hard to find the small ones, and we've just managed to find a very interesting looking spider inside that of a tree, dead old log. So that's another, as I said, another great example of how things in the natural world, really are contributing, creating space for something else. Trees fall down, trees become then the decay that allows for other animals to inhabit it. So that gave room for the spider to inhabit that. And I'm not sure what would have killed it, that spider. But I got a fright when I saw it, because I opened it and that one of the legs just was on my finger, and I was like, gee, this is that very close. So you have to be very careful when opening things like that, just to make sure that it isn't a poisonous spider or a poisonous snake in there. So I made quite sure I lifted my finger out like that. Whenever you lift something out in the bush and you're trying to look for something, always open it the other way. So here's a log, or here's a rock. When you open to see if there's a scorpion down there, open it that way and look round and then look in, rather than opening it this way, because then you are opening yourself up to a snake that might spit at you. You might open yourself up to a scorpion that might come out and sting you. So always be careful when looking around in the bush. But, well, not just the bush, go look around at your home, see if there's any old remnants of different insects that might be crawling around there. Siberia Zoomy said it could be a jumping spider or a funnel spider. Funnel spider. Yes, that I remember that spider. It could very well have been that spider. Funnel web spider. Because it did have that, from what I remember, it did have that very, like, almost vortex. What, did you get that?
Maybe even a wolf spider.
Maybe even a wolf spider. Who knows? We'll go back and have a look at our spiders book and see what spider was lurking in there this morning. All right, so let's move on our trip. See what else we might be able to find this morning. Would like to know, what is the snake populations like here in the bush? Snake population, I haven't seen a snake actually since I've been here. It's all 6 weeks, but we're also getting to a stage where the snakes don't like to be seen and they're going down and burrowing in their nests. You'd also like to know if they're quite poisonous. Yes, we do get, venomous. We get some venomous snakes, not poisonous. Venomous snakes that we get here, there are quite a few of them. The black mamba, the boom slung, and of course they have different kind of impact, like they have a different way of affecting you. So you have the cytotoxic, which is the snake or the spider even that bites like this, and then it affects that area. Cytotoxic, it affects the tissue around where that bite is made, whereas a neurotoxic is when the bite goes into the bloodstream and the venom goes into the bloodstream, and then it starts attacking the nervous system of your body, which is much like the black mamba. The black mamba is both cytotoxic and neurotoxic. And then there's another snake that's hemotoxic. Actually makes you bleed from some of your orifices, which is, I've just forgotten the name of that snake that is hemotoxic. I think it is the worm slime. I'll have to come back to you on the hemotoxic snake. And you also want to know if there's any anti-venom in camp. Yes, I think they do have anti-venom. They've got a huge first aid kit there. Huge first aid box with all the different things. Let's go and see how Brent is doing wherever he is on the property while we look for some animals. Oh, you're just going to stay with us because that's a cancelled link. So stay with us. You're on board with Dave and Sam and Ellie. See what we can still find. Are there African anacondas, says Leopold. Good question, Leopold. There's something called a rock python. A python here we get here. So it's a really, really, really big snake. Huge, actually. It's much like the anaconda, but it's obviously, it's not as big as the anaconda. It will eat baby bush bucks and all that sort of thing. I've only ever seen it once, slithering into the bush. Cheapers, if you see one of those snakes, it is quite scary to see them, but it's also so incredible to watch them as they devour something. They'll eat the whole thing and then it'll go into their bodies. But sometimes when they come across other predators such as a leopard, a lion, or even a human, they will regurgitate whatever they were eating at that present moment and then slither off as quick as they can. I was in Brazil. I went looking for an anaconda. Never quite found it. I don't know if that was to my delight or to my happiness, or I don't know. I really wanted to see it, but then also it could have been quite scary while I was on foot looking for one. Walking around the Amazon River to see if I could find an anaconda. It's quite an interesting thing to do. I did find many other animals, such as one of the small jaguars. Lots of other snakes, loads of snakes. Saw so many snakes there. Beautiful animals, beautiful looking birds. The Amazon and Pantanal. Alright, we're just coming towards the leadwood tree. Have a look, this is the leadwood tree. You can see a bird on top of it. This is a starling. This is one of my favorite birds or trees to look at. Sorry, I'm just going to stop. So you can see it from that position, but let me just roll forward. There's a bird just at the edge there. It just flew off. That was our starling. This is one of my favorite trees to look at because the leadwood is such a long-lasting tree, and it's got quite a hard wood that they used to use within infrastructure and building, but also they also used to make canoes out of it, boats, because you can easily make a nice. Oh, sorry, they didn't make canoes out of it because they were too heavy. That's right, they didn't make canoes out of these leadwoods. But they are really beautiful trees, and they can still stand here for about 800 years. So for 800 years, this leadwood might still go to, which will be fascinating to see what it sees in its life. The life of a leadwood tree in the bush. What does it come across? Katie would like to know what my favorite animal is in the world. I've been asked this a few times, and I think I said one of my favorite birds was the black eagle. I'm just thinking about what my favorite animal is. Just give me 20 seconds. Just while we go into this drainage line, Dave can look left and right, see if he can find anything in there, and I'm going to think about which my favorite animal is. Let's actually go into the drainage line. See if there's anything down here. My favorite animal. You know, I really do love elephants. And I do love squirrels. I love elephants and I love squirrels. But to be honest, I love more the behavior of something. So the behavior of an animal. So to be honest, if I'm sitting with a wild dog and it starts to play, wild dog's playing, I light up like a little child. If I'm sitting with young elephants and I watch them play, I get that same feeling. And just as much when I watch a buffalo and an elephant interact with each other. So I'm really, really fascinated by behavior and how mammals behave to each other, but how birds are wow, look how many butterflies there are. Butterflies everywhere. I don't know if you can see them. They look like the monarchs. Wow. So let's continue down the road, down the drainage line, so you're on board with Sam. But I also love marine. Like I live by the coast, I live on the ocean in Cape Town, and I love surfing and I love bodyboarding. So I love to bodyboard and surf and swim in waves and do all that sort of thing. And so I really enjoy some of the marine animals, like marine ecosystems. I'm actually going to try and do my marine Gaza, which is my nature guide to come for marine ecosystems. So learning about limpets and periwinkles and orca whales and humpback whales and the diversity of different types of algae you get in water, and yeah, so fascinated by it all. There's so many butterflies along this drainage line. It's awesome. They seem to all be the monarchs just flying around. Whoa. So we're just paying attention for anything that might be sleeping or resting around here. I actually had the most incredible experience with an orca just about 2 months ago with some of my friends. We went off on a boat around Cape Town, and next thing we just saw I don't know what you call a group of killer whales, do you know? Group of killer whales, maybe a pod of killer whales, or I think it is a pod maybe. And came across these killer whales that was swimming in the water. I'd never seen a killer whale, and next thing we see we see one of them on a small baby humpback whale, and we saw a whole group of orca whales killing a young humpback whale. It's the most interesting thing I've seen. One of the most interesting things I've seen in the natural world. Here we go. Hold on. So which is also fascinating is that the orca has a matriarchal leader, much like the elephants have matriarchal and the hyenas. And they were all killing this humpback whale. And the way in which they were killing this humpback whale was just by jumping on top of the humpback and trying to submerge it underwater. And that's basically drowning this little baby humpback. So it was very, very fat. Yeah, it was so amazing actually. I can't even get over it. I couldn't believe my eyes when I was watching it actually. Okay, I reckon we got a treehouse dam. Let's go to treehouse dam. Right, Dave, let's go see what's going on there. You guys all keen to see what might be walking around treehouse dam? Potentially a large breeding herd of buffalo. Logan. I have a good friend of mine called Logan. It's a very cool name. He lives in Llandudno, close to me. I'd like to know, Logan, where are you from? Oh, well, the elephants have really crossed our path today. As you can see, we can't go that way. So let's try the other way. So Logan would like to know more about water tortoises. We get what we call terrapins here. So they're almost in between a turtle and a tortoise. And we get two of them here. The martial terrapin and the serrated hinged terrapin. And if you stay on board with us for a little bit longer, we're going to head towards one of the watering holes where we can most likely find a terrapin. Also, I love terrapins. They're very cool to watch. Still on low range. I thought I just saw something walking through the bush here. Could have been a little steenbok. This is also Karula's territory, and maybe there's every chance that Karula might have crossed back in. So I'm going to do a loop and just see if there might be any Karula tracks lying around. I know Brent came down here and drove this cut line to see if there was anything there. That's why I'm not going to drive the cut line. I'd rather drive in and see what maybe we can find in here. I haven't seen Karula for a time. We saw Karula last week or so with her. So you can see the elephants have been here. We can see some trees. And there's a question coming through. I'm not getting it. What is it? What was that question there? Are tortoises hibernating at this time of year? Well, we've seen quite a number of the tortoises. I think I read briefly that was Searle. Was that Searle who asked that? We have seen quite a few of the tortoises around lately. But they do hibernate. They'll go into an area where they'll close off and not feed as much. They won't go and feed as much because it gets quite cold in these conditions. Hopefully we can find a tortoise. I've seen quite a few of them. We saw a huge leopard tortoise just yesterday. So we still will see some tortoises even into the winter, drier season. Okay, so we're now coming towards Treehouse Dam. There's also more drainage line to our left here, so I'm just trying to see if maybe there's a kudu or a Nyala that might be lurking around. So this is also where we found a drag mark of a hyena. I was very, very interested to see it. It was came down here and I found tracks of hyenas everywhere, and next thing, myself and VM all the way from here for 2 kilometers followed drag marks of it must have been a hyena that took it all the way down there. I don't know if you guys remember this, but it's incredible to see how far it had been dragged. Eventually we found an impala carcass just laying there, and it must have been a hyena that killed it. So just want to be careful of dung beetles. Sometimes when you are driving in this, there's some dung beetles on it. Most of the dung beetles have gone now, but we've seen quite a few. And elephants obviously like to leave their dung on the roads. So it's just important that we don't run over those dung beetles. Really, really beautiful. I love dung beetle. And I know James and Aaron, if you're still watching, that you're quite keen to catch on the birds. So I'm also keeping an eye out for our birds. I'm still looking around. There doesn't seem to be anything in this drainage line. What would you like to see at the drainage line? What would you like to see there, everyone? We're coming towards the watering hole. So maybe we'll see a buffalo, maybe we'll see a hippo, maybe we'll see any sort of animal lurking around that area. Hopefully we can find a zebra, because I know James Richard wanted to see a track of a zebra. So we're just going to have to pay attention as soon as we get there to see something that's looking through here. There was a huge breeding herd of elephants that were here just the other day. And this over here is the part of the round leaf teak over here. It's a round leaf, so the scientific name is Pterocarpus redundifolius, and this is the one plant and the tree that the elephants love to eat. And I just love to look at the way in which water is dispersed and nutrients flow into the leaf here. And you know what's fascinating also is that this is a natural solar panel. So we all talk about solar energy, PV panels and all that to create sustainability. And these plants are flexible, they can turn in every direction, and they are collecting sunlight from the sun and making energy through photosynthesis. Okay, so we are at the dam now. Let's go slowly and see what we might be able to find as we come up to it. We can find, I see some dung on the ground. Charlie would like to know, couldn't I have just gone around the road and gone around the tree there to gone across? Charlie, we've just had new rules implemented that we can't go off-road at all anymore, especially going into this dry season. It's not good for the habitat, it's not good for anything out, especially out there. We can't even follow tracks out there. So we're going to have to come and move that tree on foot later rather than going off-road. But I also don't enjoy going off-road when I can. I feel that we don't need to be that obtrusive. Hopefully we can find the animals and then we can go off-road. But it's getting into a drier season, you know. So in the dry season, the sand is not as compacted as it is in the wet season. And so obviously when we drive over and all that, we can create we can take more the natural ecology and the habitats here. So we always have to be quite careful when driving off-road. That there are signs of these elephants everywhere. You know, when I was, I truly love being on foot, and that's something that I want to try and bring to the various viewers out there is that when you're on foot, you see things very, very differently in terms of how to view a buffalo, how to view an elephant, how to view kudu and all that, because you have to be that much more secretive. So if we can bring more of that surprise element to our drives, that's why the bushwalks are so incredible. Look at this. These elephants have gone absolutely crazy here. So there's trees on the roads everywhere. You're going to have to just drive over it. Hold on, everyone. Right. We're here at the watering hole. Maybe there, through the thicket there, you can see a kudu that's just on that dam wall. Let's just look at it for a second. It hasn't noticed us yet. I'm just going to reverse it a little bit. And look at it. There we go. So that's a female kudu there. And it looks like it's looking around. Why I stopped to have a look at it from a distance through the trees here is because I'm really trying to bring that secretive element in, because we can start learning a little bit more about their behavior, on what they've seen, what's going on there. So that was a youngster, so that was really cool. She just got whiff of our scent, and the female mother's just ahead of us. So that was a young kudu there, and the female's going to be walking out through the bushes. There she is. As she comes, you can just see her through it. You can see those nice white stripes on her body. Beautiful. Look at those ears. Those ears will be pointing in every direction. There they go. There goes the youngster. The youngster was looking very, very nervous. How cool was that? So we crept in here and we came across a beautiful young kudu and its mother. They've just gone off into the bush there. They probably just came and had something to drink down by the watering hole here, which we are now coming to. It was an awesome sighting on this kudu. Wow, so the watering hole is looking quite a bit drier than usual. But we've got a nice big buffalo bull that's coming in to the watering hole this morning. Looks like he's just been grazing. Jeepers, he's a big boy. He is huge. See what he does. It will be interesting to see him jump into the water. Logan Brock would like to know how many different watering holes are in these areas, and are there a few territorial animals that will be around these waters? So Logan, there's quite a number of watering holes that we get here. This is Treehouse Dam at the moment. We've got twin dams where there isn't any water at the moment. Nice to watch this buffalo drinking. And then we also have Sydney's Dam, which is not on our property, but we can view it from a distance. And of course then on Djuma we also have the Buffelshoek Dam, which is my favorite watering hole to go to view different animals. We often see the large breeding herds of buffalo coming through there, and often the elephants that are drinking and playing there. And we have a territorial. So going on to your next question is, do we have any territorial animals that are in those areas? So you would have seen that hippo that we were with this morning at Buffelshoek Dam is really, really quite large, and that would have been a male hippo that is holding territory in that watering hole. So that is a territorial hippo at Buffelshoek Dam. And of course, many, many different other animals will also try to create dominance around the watering holes. You know, often, if there was a number of buffaloes here, old buffalo boys, and they didn't get along, because often you have bachelor herds that form, but there can be a bit of tension between two buffaloes when at a watering hole. So, for example, the other day where we are filming at this present moment, there was a buffalo standing here, and it tried to go down to the watering hole to get something to drink. And the other buffalo came and charged the other one, or just made a really, really loud sound, and that buffalo then went in a southerly direction, and we didn't see that buffalo again. So buffalo can be territorial, especially when it comes to grazing the green grasses that come around the watering holes, as well as sitting in the watering holes themselves. But we can also be aware that other animals, such as the wildebeest, likes a male wildebeest that holds its territory, likes to hold its territory where there is a proximity to water, as well as nice grazing pastures, and will be very territorial to any other wildebeest male that comes into the area. So that's a big thing within animals, is who can get the best water and food. Red Dog would like to know, do the female buffaloes fight with one another? No, I haven't seen any females fighting with one another. I've only ever seen the males fighting with one another. Of course, that probably is, in other situations, there has been probably two females that fought with each other a few times. I've just only ever been aware of the male buffaloes that bang those bosses against each other, and they have really, really big fights. But what's so incredible about this shot, though, quickly while we're there, is you can see a nice reflection of the buffalo in the water, which looks quite cool. Have a look at that. If you want to get a screenshot of a buffalo's reflection, he's looking into his morning mirror this morning. That looks very, very cool. See what he's doing. So it looks like he's drinking. And the chances are this buffalo won't move much further than where he is at the moment. He'll sit in this watering hole and just enjoy being in the water, as well as drinking and grazing around the edges for quite some time. So it's always very important when walking this area to know that there will most likely be a few of these big boys around here. That is such a great picture. Well done, Dave. Look at that. Got the nice reflection of the buffalo. Oh, interestingly, we've just had another buffalo that's come to the party at the watering hole today. There's one that's just to the right of us now. Let's have a look. Also looks like a big old buffalo bull. He probably has already been in the watering hole. You can see quite a bit of mud on him, and quite a bit of water, looks like. So he's probably been at the watering hole. It's interesting is that down there is actually looking at the other. So I think it was your question, Logan. We might just be able to see that behavior happen and unfold in front of us between the two buffaloes. The one down there is now drinking. The other one is now making its way down to the watering hole, slowly but surely. Actually fascinated to see how these buffaloes will interact. Ellen in Arkansas was quite interested in learning about, how these buffaloes become solitary and leave the breeding herds. Well, these are the big old bulls, and you can tell that they're old not only by their bosses, but how they've lost quite a lot of fur on their back, and they've lost quite a bit there, if you can see it. So they need to get to the watering holes and get away from the sun as best as possible. And they can't actually keep up with the breeding herds as much as possible, as much as they used to be able to. They've become a lot slower. So it's easier for them now to just sit in one place, drink and graze, and kind of live there for the rest of their life, than trying to keep up to those breeding herds. But still, you'll still find some of them that try to keep up, and those are the buffaloes that mainly get taken by the lion prides, the trailing buffaloes that are too old to keep up with the herds. And sometimes you find that with the females. Let's listen to the interaction between you. You can just hear something. Did you hear that? It was almost like a greeting between the two. Look how much mud is on this buffalo. Logan, I hope you're watching. There has been a little bit of interaction between the two buffaloes. The one's now moving away. Fascinating to watch this. That buffalo doesn't like him here. Hear that? I don't know if you were able to pick up on those sounds that buffalo was making. He was making quite a loud, not loud as in you can hear it, but it was almost like that sound of the elephants make. Almost like a growl. It sounds a little bit like a growl. But let's look again at the one at the back. He seems to be a little bit more dominant. He's got a lot of mud on him, so he looks like he's been playing in the mud for quite some time. So he's now getting back what looks like his watering hole. There's another great reflection of a buffalo in the water. That was awesome. So that little bit of interaction between the buffaloes was fascinating to see that. And it looks like the one buffalo is probably going to be heading off now. And the one that came back down from here, so is now grazing. Oh, it looks like this one's actually going to come back. So start and reposition, get a new fresh angle on this. Two big buffaloes down by a treehouse dam. So we're going to get into the dry season soon. Let's just get one more angle of this. Get up nice and close to these big boys. So the dry season's coming up, and the vegetation is going to be becoming a lot more dry, a lot more bare. The leaves will be falling off the trees, and the water here is most likely going to dry up in the next couple of months. Probably in the next, maybe even in the next month, there will be no water in Treehouse Dam. So this is going to cause a little bit of a panic in some of the breeding herds of buffalo, and it's going to just create a lot more room for the big lion prides to take some of the buffaloes. We know that the Birmingham boys, well, apparently I've never seen it, but they love to eat buffalo, so we might just be seeing a few hunts in the next couple months. I think let's have our last look at this buffalo before we move on to see if we can find any tracks of Karula coming around this area. Alright, so we're going to go off and see if we can find some tracks or to see whatever's out there in the bush. If you're also interested in learning anything else this morning, from biomimicry to anything that you're interested in, please hashtag SafariLIVE and we can talk about it till the end of drive. Now, let's go and see how Brent is doing.
So, we're back. Thanks to Connor, who repaired. We had a break in the cable that goes into the antenna. Connor has fixed it, and we are out again. to see what we can find. So our plan changed slightly. We were heading towards the western sections. We still are going to, but we're going to take a wider loop towards that area and see if there's possibly any sign of creatures along the Buffelshoek boundary to the north of. Okay, sorry about that. It seems like they've got a few gremlins. Hopefully they... It's been a while. Nice to have you back. We're heading along the road now from those buffaloes. Going to go and see what we might find. Well, we've only got about 13 minutes left of this drive. Look at this dung. Jeepers. So there's quite a lot of dung on the road here. So the elephants are in the area. So there's no tracks. I'm just also going to be checking for tracks. I really want to see a leopard this morning. Oh. Nature's Darling. What a nice name. Nature's Darling. You would like to know what happened to that whale, that humpback, after those orcas came. Yeah, so Nature's Darling didn't quite make it. That humpback, yeah, was killed. From what I noticed on the boat, we were on a boat and we could see that it was floating. But what was fascinating to see was how the orca was just playing with it. The orcas were just playing with their kill, which was quite interesting to watch that. I mean, that was the first interaction I've ever had with orca whales, and I tell you, it's not going to be the last. I mean, my plans and hopes and goals in life and my aspirations is to obviously deepen my knowledge of this wonderful natural world that we live in. And I want to get up to the wolves up in Alaska, and I want to go to parts of the world where I can go and see orca whales and go see humpback whales and learn a little bit more of those ecologies. And just learn more about, how an orca lives its world and how it hunts. They're such effective hunters, and they're actually very, very intelligent animals. Very, very intelligent animals. So hopefully one day I can sit down with them. I'm not sure if any of our viewers have spent some time with orcas or wolves of that sort. Those are the two animals I will really want to spend more time with, are wolves and orca whales. But as well as the ospreys, and I think that the ospreys are there's a type of I think, bird or eagle in Scotland. Is it called an osprey or Wales? The ospreys in Wales. That's something that I would love to see. If we have any viewers from the United Kingdom or from Scotland or from Wales, how often do you see ospreys there? I'd love to see those birds of prey, or the bald eagle. So much to see in this wonderful planet. So I've still got some time. Okay, so we're now on Shabam Road. I think let's go this way towards. We're going to go to Philemon's Dip to see if we can see any. Actually, you know what? Let's go to the break. Let's go to the cut line, because we might just get lucky to see. What does Elvis say? Elvis? Rebecca's just reminded me that I should definitely ask Elvis around where we should go. And Elvis, I think Elvis thinks that we should go to the cut line to see if there's any tracks of Karula anywhere. Potentially there is. I want to see that beautiful female leopard this morning, if we can. Maybe I should just check on the radio. Victor would like to know, are there any updates on the cubs? So this is Little Gowrie over there, and that's the last time that the cubs and Karula were seen. So I'm just going to look here to see if there's any tracks of Karula crossing, as well as the cubs.
this is where Little Gowrie is. Just looking for any tracks that might be around here. Wonderful Karula. Just going to check on the radio because sometimes when I'm live I can't chat on the radio. I just want to get an update to see if anything's been found. Stations, can I please get an update for... So we're just having one of those quiet mornings today. Nothing's been found on the property. It seems that the lines crossed over, Karula hasn't crossed back in. And that's just from a cat perspective, but I'd say on safari there's many, many other things going on at the same time. In terms of termites in the ground and the funny jumping spider that we just found. Maybe we can go and find and track something a little bit smaller out there. It's a wonderful Sunday morning. It feels very much like a Sunday, don't you think, Dave?
It does, yeah.
It feels like a Sunday, a nice, calm, relaxed Sunday. We go back to camp. Maybe Amanda's cooked something amazing. We get fed so well here in our camp. I mean, Amanda made the most incredible pies yesterday. Nice spinach and mushroom pies. There's something that's just coming out of the thicket there. Let's just go slowly. There's just some branches coming out of the thicket. I was saying Amanda makes really, really great meals. She's such an incredible cook and she's such a fun lady. We were playing some games with her last night until quite late. We were laughing. I haven't laughed like I laughed last night. We played a very, very fun game last night. It's actually called a very, very fun game. At least because we don't have a name for the game, so we just called it, at least I called it the very, very fun game, just because it was quite fun, eh? Yeah. Rebecca, our director, was making me laugh quite a lot last night. As well as VM. VM just came back from leave. So it's good to have VM back. He was only gone for a couple of days. He just went off into the Kruger. Have a look. Alright, let's go down here and see what we might be able to find. Really see the impact of some of the elephants. I'll show you now. There's quite a lot of impact. Wow. While we're talking about termite mounds, let's just have a look at this termite mound to the right of us. I'm just going to get into another position. So have a look at this termite mound. Brian would like to know, do people eat termites? Well, Brian, to be honest, I haven't eaten any termites, but our good friend, Mr. James Hendry, was telling me that it tastes a little bit like peanut butter. Not the best tasting peanut butter you've ever tasted, but quite similar to that. And I've never eaten it. I'm sure you can eat them. But what's incredible is just have a look at the way in which these mounds are structured. And these are coming from, termites look very much like ants. They're very small creatures, but they provide such a huge resource of food for many, many organisms out here. And even from if we went to go put our hand in there, we'd find that the temperature would be around 32 degrees Celsius, which is quite warm, and that helps them with the fungus growing termites. It helps them regulate the temperature to look after their food at the bottom of these termite mounds. And so even more interestingly is that they found how to adapt that to human systems to make our buildings a little bit more efficient in terms of air cooling. So they actually designed a building in Harare called the Eastgate building. You can have a look at it. It actually is designed in a way in which it learns from the termite mound to cool the building because of that intelligence from termites. So we're learning from little creatures such as termites, how to be a little bit more efficient within our building structures and all of that. And this is, sorry, this way, sorry. There's impalas rutting in the distance there. So if we just have a quick look at our flaky thorned acacia over here, with the big thorns there, and just have a look at all of those. The size of those thorns are just huge. And you can tell it's a flaky thorn. There we go. Look at that flaky. So that's a flaky thorn acacia. And what's quite fascinating about just trees in general is how is water being sucked up from the ground all the way to the top, and how could our buildings begin to work in that sort of way? How can our buildings not pump things up there, but actually do what nature does to bring water and nutrients all to the very tip of these trees? So learning a little bit more about that sort of design and intelligence is super interesting, and just something that sparked my memories, talking about, do humans eat termite mounds? Well, what's also quite interesting is there's this mouse that's out here. And I was actually studying this mouse the other morning. And it's called a fat mouse. So it really is called a fat mouse. I didn't make that up in the book. It's a fat mouse, and it's more kind of active during the summer months. And it eats as much as it can. I think it's called a fat mouse. It's just eating as much as it can, so that in the winter months it can go into its burrows just below clumps of grass, and they can hibernate there for the winter season. But owls love it because they're obviously rich in nutrition, and also the human. It's a delicacy for some African people to eat the fat mouse, because it's just so rich in fat. So it's a delicacy out here. So hopefully we can find the fat mouse out here. I don't really know what it would taste like. But those are some of the things that some people eat out here in the bush. Never seen the fat mouse. But it's quite funny. An interesting fact about the fat mouse is that when it gets handled, it often plays dead. So if we had to hold find a fat mouse and then hold it. Oh wow, I'm going to come just hold it. I'm going to get off the vehicle now. Just found a really big shell. It's just on the ground there. But I was just explaining to you how the fat mouse will pretend to be dead in your hands. So if you hold it, it'll be, so it's quite funny that. And then you put it down, it'll obviously come back to life. But I was just imagining it's in the beaks of an owl, trying to pretend to be dead to tell the owl that it's not alive. I don't know if that would work so well. An owl. So have a look at this. So it looks like the giant sluggy. Wow. Isn't that cool? I'm going to try something quickly. I'm going to put this up towards my ear. Just make sure there's no dirt that falls into my ear, because I have been having problems with my ear recently. It's been swelling up because it's not used to the earpieces since I've been here. So I just want to get the sand out. You can hear the ocean in here, which is quite nice. Sometimes my mom used to teach that to me, putting the shells onto your ear, and you can hear the sound of the ocean. But what's also really, really interesting is I want to show you just a little aspect of design here, which I'm super fascinated in. Have a look at that spiral that goes from here all the way around and out. Can you see that? Awesome, huh? And tell me, have you seen that spiral before? Does it remind you of any other spirals that you've seen in the natural world? If you have a look in nature, you'll find the spiral in many, many different things. You can find it in the way in which a wave breaks. And so you can even find it in the universe. So if you stop and learn a little bit more and look into nature, you can start to see these designs and patterns that are Just really, really incredible. And that's what sparks my interest. My deep learning about the natural world is understanding these designs that really, really are quite amazing. I'm going to put you back over here. What I would like to know, what I'm going to look up is, can that be inhabited by another creature and take on that shell, which would be fascinating to learn. I know that some creatures will actually eat shells to get the calcium in the shell, much like how giraffes will eat bones to try and get some of the calcium from bones. I know that that's the same practice in some animals. Awesome. That's a nice little... So I'm just... What was that? I'm not reading Rebecca's message. Huh?
Let it go again. I think they've got they want to cut the dam down. Put giraffe at dam camp.
Giraffe at the dam camp.
Yeah.
Rebecca, do you copy? Awesome. So you're going to switch to the dam camp and still have our audio. Cool. So I don't know what you're going to be seeing. I think it's a giraffe that you'll be seeing on the dam camp. I think a giraffe will be drinking at the dam camp. Enjoy it. See what you might be able to see. The giraffe has Okay, so there's oxpeckers on the giraffe, I heard, and that's quite fascinating. So that giraffe, if it's quite close to the water there, you watch how it might spread its legs. So potentially that giraffe will be spreading its legs and drinking water. That's awesome. It's really difficult to see what you might be seeing while I'm here. But that's awesome that you can see a giraffe drinking down by the watering hole. We'll move in that direction. We're not so far away from Djuma Dam. I hope we can get the last little bit of that giraffe drinking from that watering hole. That's not something that you see often. Welcome back, everyone. So we just saw a giraffe down by the watering hole. It's really, really interesting. I've never actually I didn't know that we could do that. That's quite cool that we can chat to you while you're seeing things on our dam camp. I know that you guys will often find things like the wild dogs that will go through there, and it really helps us when you find things like that. It's awesome. So we'll slowly move in that direction to see if we can just see that giraffe for a little bit longer. And I mean, just going back to that conversation that we were having about that spiral and things, let's just get my book out just before I go there. I'd like to show you something very, very quickly. So we looked at that spiral over here, and the spiral, I'm just going to get into a position where I can show you something. So that spiral you can actually see here. So on the top right one, you can almost see that over here. And that's part of the Fibonacci sequence, and if you look in the natural world, you can begin to find that design that is everywhere. I mean, even if when you look at the Milky Way galaxy, you can begin to see that spiral pattern that exists out there. But I'm also fascinated to learn more about how sacred geometry works and what are our platonic solids from the many, here are platonic solids. I don't really know how to say them. Go close on them. They're these different They're different kind of cubes. So you get cubes and octahedrons and all these different shapes that you see here. And these shapes are in the natural world. They're considered to be the strongest, the most resilient. So when you, like for example, when you look at a beehive, you'll find that the shapes in a beehive are hexagonal, and those things make for the design of that beehive to be really, really strong and efficient, and to be able to grow in different directions. So the building of the beehive doesn't have to be straight like our buildings. It can go up and around. So it's modular design. It's really, really quite fascinating. And finally, if we have a look here, we can find the flower of life. And in this flower, you can begin to see, you know, a lot of other animals, you know, in their perception, have maybe this way of seeing in terms of seeing basic shapes. So fish are said to see quite basic shapes. And if you look at it, go look in your gardens or start looking at all the different plants that are in your gardens, and you can start to pick up on that shape within the flowers of the natural world. It's super, super interesting. And super, super interesting. I love learning about sacred geometry and how all these strong shapes that make up the natural world. So Brent's back out in the vehicle. Let's go and see how Brent's doing.
So hopefully we're back for a bit longer this time. Again, thank you to Connor. We have now pirated the cable from Wendy to make Rusty work. So hopefully that should fix this. Fingers crossed. Am I still there? Hello, hello. It seems like I'm still there. So I did hear there was a giraffe at the Djuma dam camp and a possible bird of prey. So let's go have a squiz. Apparently it was an African harrier hawk or a gymnogene that was down at the Djuma dam camp. Well, it is now devoid. Oh, there's the giraffe. It's definitely not drinking anymore. Very dark, big male. And you might hear the low rumble of diesel generators humming in the background, which means the electricity is gone. Oxpeckers in tow. Very nice looking male giraffe, very, very dark. He's looking quite intently at something. When you see giraffes standing like that, sometimes they do spot predators, quite good at spotting predators, or it could be spotting in a Nyala. Safari Hayes was wondering, is there an oxpecker with a black beak? Very possibly. You can see there the two red-billed oxpeckers, and those are the adults. And if you see an oxpecker with a black beak, it's a juvenile. And they've got serrated bills, and you see how they comb through their hair, looking for little ectoparasites. Oh, he hasn't moved. He's not looking at us, so he's still staring at that exact same spot. And there's the juvenile oxpecker. Hasn't got his red colouring on his beak yet, the one up at the top. Let's just go have a quick squiz around where that giraffe is staring. As it, sometimes they do stare intently at a Nyala or Pala. Oh, so not an African harrier hawk, but an African hawk eagle. Just going to get a safety shot. You see him, Jean-Jacques, on the wood on the opposite side. A safety shot from here before we go any closer in case it flies off. Here we go, African hawk eagle. my favorite raptors we get here. There we go. Well, we've got the safety shot. Let's get a little bit closer. This cold front's definitely moving in. Lots of cloud cover at the moment. Still a bit nippy. There we go, there's the hawk eagle. We'll stop again a little bit before going closer. So Nyala on their way down for a drink as well. Such stunning birds. Now, it's possible that hawk eagle plummeted down here to try and grab a guinea fowl or a francolin and has now just stopped, or it could have come down for a drink. Unfortunately, we didn't see which. Maybe you guys did on the Djuma dam cam. So far, this hawk eagle is being very obliging. Oh, look at that eye color. Isn't that stunning? So they're great hunters of other terrestrial birds, specifically francolin and guinea fowl. And they hit them at high speed, causing an explosion of feathers. Of course, they will still also eat little myriads and little rodents, as well as snakes and whatever they can catch. A lovely big group of female Nyala also heading towards the pan. As it warms up a little bit, there's a little boy in there as well, heading down for a drink. I'm going to try edge even closer, see if this hawk eagle is really going to... I think he's about to fly down it. Boom. Oh, look at that, majestic. Very distinct streaky breast. And you can see it's a true eagle, or an aquila eagle, with its feathers extending all the way to its feet. Well, amazing. Lynn says the bird was there the whole time the giraffe was having a drink. Isn't that incredible? Thanks for that update, Lynn. You can hear the squirrel alarm calling. And then another update. So he wasn't hunting down next to the pan, he was bathing, according to Siberia. Thanks very much, Siberia. There's that Nyala. A couple of little boys in there. I can see 4 little males. There we go, beautiful little reflection. Genre being arty. Look at that, stunning. Oh, look, I got a fright from this impala running in. I don't know what he's up to. But, I mean, look at that. They just suddenly disappeared and they're running everywhere. I half expected to see a wild dog charging through, but all there is a male impala. He looks as bemused as why everyone decided he was a big threat. But it looks like he's going to stop for a drink, or he's looking for some ladies. But while we see what pans out here at the Djuma Dam cam, let's go have a look at Sam, who's got a piggy to show you.
So we've just come across a nice family group of warthogs here, and you can see there's quite a few piglets. So this is so cool to see. It's not often we get to sit with warthogs close to us, especially with the youngsters here. And it could be 2 females with their youngsters, but there are quite a few here. And these little piglets must be quite careful because they can be preyed upon by even the eagle that you were sitting with Brent. Eagles are known to come down and sometimes eat young piglets. But you can see they're great. They eat quite a lot of grass. Most of their food that they eat is the grass, but they also go down to the soil layers where they can find tubers under the ground there. And that's when they get onto what looks like their knees to get to those points. And those are those tails that are wagging there in different directions. Those are the follow me signs. So if we're lucky enough, as we roll forward, we might just see those tails go up. So let's go a little bit closer, just as we close the show. Let's just see how... Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to scare you, little piglet. Let's just watch the way in which they lift their tails here. It's fascinating. Just to close the show, we say goodbye to the warthogs. Here they are. Let's see how close we might be able to get to them because they are very cute. Look at these little warthogs. They're very relaxed with us. This is amazing. There goes the tails. So there the tails were. Thank you so much for this morning's drive, everyone. It's been fantastic. Thanks, Dave and Rebecca. We'll see you this afternoon for the afternoon drive. Let's go and see how Brent is doing.
A drink and a grooming session from the oxpeckers. Spotted the lone impala and descended. You must be a really, really mean impala to cause all the other antelope to run away. Poor Nyala didn't even get their drink, but the oxpeckers are getting one. Such exquisite little birds. Aqua says maybe the Nyala thought a predator was chasing the impala. I would assume so, that's what they thought, Aqua, but he wasn't sort of running like there was something behind him. He wasn't jogging up towards the waterhole. Oh, he's getting a nice groom now. those ticks out of the ears. Spa day for the impala. So I'm going to leave the impala to his spa day, getting preened and cleaned as well as having a drink. I'm going to go see if we can catch up with that giraffe. He might have moved his way onto quarantine. So maybe that giraffe was actually looking at that impala. And they are still rutting, so they are behaving, well, not erratically if you're an impala, but not as they would outside of the mating season. Fortunately warmed up slightly, even though it is still quite overcast. Okay, so that giraffe walked up through here. He stopped for a meal on the way, or is he on the march after the ladies? It's always so fascinating how quickly giraffe can move. So the origins of the name giraffe actually comes from Arabic, and the word is zarafa, and the one who walks swiftly. And this gentleman has certainly walked swiftly. I can't even see him now. Well, looks like he's swiftly avoided us. Oh dear. Well, hopefully he'll be around for the sunset safari. As I'm sure most of you know, James is off on his holiday today, and so is Kirsten. So you'll be having Sam and myself until Tuesday when Jamie gets back. Jamie is in England at the moment. She went to get her, well, she went to go get her master's, or went to her master's graduation at Cambridge. Very smart girl. But it's been wonderful having you on the Sunrise Safari. I apologize for the tech issues we had. Hopefully we've got them all under control, and we'll see you in a few short hours for the Sunset Safari, and hopefully big cats will abound. So from Jandre and myself, adieu.